We tell them to leave that attachment on the bottle the entire time that they use that, and then they would just wipe the top. That's what we tell them for their home supply. So the site, this is the needle. This leaves this little guy in the skin.
Maybe pass them around if people look at them.
And so this is the part, this would be for self-fill. And so pharmacy fill is gonna come, it's gonna have the cap on it, and we always have to tell them to make sure to crunch that before they take the cap off so all the medicine doesn't run out. So have your needle, however much you're going to, well, you don't have to spike
We're gonna
that
do
one.
3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we don't have to spike the patient now.
I forget.
Yeah.
Can you tell me what the crunch that thing is, because that was part of our issue
So
last time.
there
Crunch is
is,
twice, I think, is what I
yeah,
heard.
yeah, maybe because you would need to do it to fill it
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah.
But it's opening, basically it's it's like there's a one-way valve in there that when you crunch it, that valve engages so that then medicine won't run out the line unless it's connected to the pump. So, and if you don't do that, it doesn't either go in, it'll kind of stay up in between these two pieces and run everywhere, or it'll just run out the line. So
That's prior to the fill.
that's prior to, yeah, I always tell that, like, the patient, when they get their stuff, whether it's self-fill or pharmacy fill, when you open it,
Crunch it.
just like the first thing to
And
do.
what is that doing?
It's stopping it. It's like a
It
a
enacts
cap.
that valve, basically.
But what if there's no medicine?
There's not any. We're gonna put medicine.
Right.
Yeah.
So
So
you're
as soon as
crunching
we
it.
put medicine in,
Oh,
it stops it from running out by crunching it.
got it.
So drug, we'll say we're doing.
And the crunch,
3.
you just like,
It's literally like,
I did 2 cans or something.
oh, okay.
and it's a crunch.
Now, when we're pulling those up or making it in the hood, do we cap it first? Or do we cap it
So
after?
the ones that are self-fill, I have not capped them and they don't. It doesn't really say whether or not you need to cap them. It only talks about when they get them from pharmacy filled, make sure not to take the cap off before you crunch.
Okay.
Because you can lose med that way.
It'll just
I have
run
filled
out.
them and if you crunch this, the valve is engaged basically. So I'm not really sure in terms of like the pharmacy fill part. I don't know that part, like what happens.
So if you crunch it with medicine, if it comes pre-filled,
Yeah.
and you crunch it, and you don't have the cap on, it'll just,
No, if you got this and the cap, you undid the cap before you crunched it, it's just an open system.
Yeah.
It may not run out crazy or whatever, but it could.
yeah.
And then by crunching, you're engaging that valve, the one-way valve. So,
Right, so crunching it, you're gonna let it go out, potentially.
You're stopping it.
You activate the one-way valve.
Yeah.
Well, and you
Got it.
prime, I'll let you go ahead.
Glad
the
Because
the
then
doctor
after
knows.
you do that, so that you can get it to fill,
uh-huh,
turn it,
Nope.
correct?
yeah, to prime it.
Not yet.
All
Not
that's
until you put
after.
the,
But you gotta fill it.
yes.
So we'll get drug. So you've got your med here, and on the fill assist, what is this thing called? It's like a filling assistant, this is a name for it. But there's a little tiny hole in there. I don't know if you can see that. Like right in this little section here, there's a tiny hole. You're gonna come directly at it, straight down, and then you push until you can feel the bottom. You don't jam it in there, but you push until you can feel the needle touch the bottom of the cartridge. And then you're gonna press
It's
in.
just a diaphragm, right?
A little tiny and you're gonna hear all kinds of little weird noises while you fill it. We were told to leave your thumb on the plunger as you're taking it out so that the pressure doesn't pop the medicine back in. And then,
You have to clean that before you're injecting into it? Or
clean
is
one.
it just came fresh clean?
That, yeah, it's
Okay.
pulled out of a,
It's a sterile,
Okay.
Yep.
it's a sterile package.
Okay.
yep, and then,
And for pharmacy, that would be all they do, right? And cap it
Yeah.
and send it to
yeah,
that, and then our patients will
Yeah.
be learning how to
How
prime
to
this.
take
This is
this.
what we teach them. But for y'all's part, my question is, and John, y'all might can help me, like, when we were doing sub-Q before, and I think this is all insurance, like a bottle would go to the room, the bottle stays with the patient. With this, I don't know if a bottle
We're not
stays
doing
with
We're,
the,
we're
That's
drawing
because
it up
we're
and
doing,
Y'all
we're
are-
doing the wrap program now.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
so we're just doing those 3 ml increments,
okay.
at a
And so
time.
y'all
so
will
we're
be
making it
sending
in the
cassettes.
IV room.
okay,
So,
Yeah.
so what I've done on this one was I went ahead and got it all prepared and I red capped it, but I never primed it.
mm-hmm.
Because once you prime it, you
You
turn
lose
it
that
and then
thing.
Yeah,
you
this-
lose
Yeah,
this
you
it.
thing-
can't prime it.
when
Y'all
you-
don't
Right.
have to prime.
You turn
Right.
it that way, when you turn it back the other way,
It's,
it
it's,
comes off.
It's done.
right, and
So-
the patient has the black cartridge at the bottom and that part's been
Right.
disengaged, so.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I did not, I take it to the room not primed.
Yes.
Right.
Okay.
Correct. I mean, the biggest thing for, I think, in terms of the pharmacy field and taking it into the patient is just to reiterate that fact of if you need to crunch it so that they don't just get to work and start unscrewing everything and then possibly lose med out of the end of the line. That's the biggest takeaway from that, I think. But, and
So where
then,
does the second crunch come in?
see, we don't know about the first
When I
crunch.
pushed it down,
We know about
when
the
I
second
pushed it
crunch.
down, there's like 2 pops.
Yeah,
You hear a pop and a pop.
so, and then I don't know, because they still have to crunch it when they get it like delivered, pharmacy field, you know?
Right.
And I don't know. why.
What they do in Warrendale, Pennsylvania. We
Right.
don't really get that, like we should,
Yeah.
kind of, but
Yeah.
we don't know, like. you
We
know,
just know
It's still,
to tell them to crunch it and
Crunch
that
it.
it engages a one-way valve, basically.
The lady on the first lady, she told me it was called cap and crunch.
That's
Yeah.
Yeah, that was how she remembered it.
I like it, I can remember
So-
that.
This is, I think the second crunch comes whenever you do the prime, cause you have to push down hard and turn it to prime. And then when you push it back, you turn it so that it comes apart and put it in. This
So-
part comes off.
This is
And it
what
doesn't
is
reattach.
left
Right, which is
after
why you don't
you
prime it
take
before.
the
Right.
Primeade
Yeah,
white
so that's-
thingy
But
off.
that's where, I think
this
where the
is the
second
part-
comes
But they'll
in.
This
never
is the
be
part
taking
that
that off.
It's
And
not
that has the
to-
med in
Yeah.
it?
Mhm.
This is the part that attaches to the pump itself, and this is thrown away.
Correct.
Oh, the top part's thrown
Yeah.
away.
Yeah.
This is only
That's
an
why you don't
aid
prime it.
in filling.
Because if you
like a
prime it,
wrench.
this lodges.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't reattach it.
Right.
Yeah.
But here's the actual pump. So this has a cover. And the patient would attach these two. And then through this, we're going to pair it with our remote, and then the patients can run it that way. But you don't have to know all that, but.
So this is the Captain Obvious question. When we were shown this like back in the summer, I don't remember eating crunches. Do you remember talking about crunches?
Yeah, you didn't have a hands-on priming.
okay.
Yeah.
Yes. we-
But how is that one-way valve then disengaged? Is that just overcome by the pump?
The pump is, I guess, the pressure of
There's
that
enough
is
pressure to just
pushing.
push it through.
Yeah.
Okay.
So here's my questions.
Mm-hmm.
Or does it disengage whenever they click it to prime?
I
And
don't.
then
And
they
it
turn it
opens
to
up
pull the
that
filling
thing,
aid back
yeah.
off? Does that
Yeah.
not reverse it and then?
Who
I
knows?
that part I don't
I just know that when I turned it, anytime
When
I
we
turned
turned
it
it to
again,
prime, like it ran out the line,
Yes,
it dripped
which is-
out,
yes.
you know? And then we turned it back,
but then it automatically
And then it pops
disengaged.
off.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
But you guys aren't supposed to be doing that. Were you
no, we
guys
were
Right.
just
like
playing
with it?
Yeah, we were
Okay.
playing with it.
Okay.
Yeah.
We were figuring it
So
out.
whenever I
But
went to the
that's
patient's room, it was not primed, and then
Till she touched her line.
Right.
Perfect.
so my questions are about the tubing itself.
Mm-hmm.
From our standpoint, what kind of tubing do we need to keep in the pharmacy?
So, and this, like I was saying, so there's the Clio set right there that I just showed you, this one. And then the one that I like that I like to teach the patients, do you have them, are the quick sets.
And we have both of those, but my question, so the lady last week,
Mhm.
the first lady already had one.
Mm-hmm.
The lady last week was a new one.
Mm-hmm.
And whoever came up there said, well, I just give her all the different kinds, she just tries whichever one she wants, and then that's her set with all the stuff.
Mhm.
The first lady actually was on a pediatric one, which kind of threw us for a loop.
Mm-hmm.
But for here, I don't want to have to keep like every set with multiple amounts if there's like a kind of a preference.
Well, and maybe
So-
you can.
We've kind of moved to quick set.
We've moved
our
to quick
favorite.
set.
That
Our
used to
nurses
be our
don't like
favorite.
these, they want the quick set.
Yeah,
Okay.
and then there's
Mhm.
also a lot of it sometimes has
Do you
to
want to
do
explain to them what that means?
the quick set and
Yeah.
that. So these are have you guys ever seen this before? So
And at least with the quick set too, it all comes in one. The site, this part, and the tubing comes in one package.
Container.
With the Clio, you got
Yes.
two different
Okay.
Yeah.
things,
Okay.
two different packages.
this one
quick set
is-
would be.
we used to do it for people who were kind of afraid of needles or kind of afraid of sticking themselves or whatever. And you literally put it on, there's a sticker here, and it's spring loaded, and you're gonna push, and this, I don't know if it'll do it on there, but this little thing goes boing and pops back up. And then there's a sticker that you would do this number on the patient's stomach and pull off a hub, and it looks like this. But we have found, and it's been in the last 2 years, that they don't stick to the patient. They basically.
We can't get it disattached from this, and we're pulling it all back off.
Yeah,
Like,
so
we
it's been
can't get
more
it-
trouble than it's worth, so we've switched to the quick set, which is, it's just a needle, and they hold and do it, and it's over in 2 seconds. And I always tell people that they're gonna be doing this every 3 days for a long, long time, so you're gonna have to familiarize yourself with doing that process. So it doesn't always, it just kind of don't really offer this one much anymore because it doesn't work very well.
So every time that we refill it, they should be changing out all their tubing.
They should be changing out, yes.
The
Okay.
tubing.
This-
Because the first
Yeah.
lady.
But they're not
the
changing
first
their
lady did
site.
not.
Yeah.
Right, the site
They're not
can,
changing
yeah.
their site.
Yeah, the
So-
first lady did not. She
What-
kept the same tubing.
What does that mean they're not changing? Because it's all attached, right?
So the site will be attached to your belly,
Yeah,
and you
the
can
site will
remove
be,
the tubing
Okay.
from
Will
the
be-
You
site.
can pull that out and then.
And just change the tubing. The site can stay for up to 3 months, 4 months.
so like this particular one has a little slide out that then sits on top of that hub and snaps in. So these change, from here to here changes every time you.
72
yeah.
hours.
But with the quick set tubing, they're just essentially taking off that
Needle
piece
part,
so they
yes,
don't need it, and
yeah.
then you just attach their.
And
tubing.
it's just, like she said, it comes in one package. The only thing is, and I think that one works for both in terms of if someone's heavier or thinner in terms of sub-Q, sometimes, because there's different lengths of,
We only have the one, the
The one that-
392.
okay.
You're talking about the part of the length of the catheter. underneath
Yeah,
the
so
stent.
that sometimes, what's the one called that's for, is it the silhouette? Yeah,
We have silhouette.
yeah,
Is
there's,
that
We
for
don't use
OD?
it.
yeah,
Okay, cause that's 17.
yes,
And the
so,
other are 9 and 6.
yeah.
Right.
Okay.
So we personally like the quick set. That's what we teach with most of the time. I mean, for me, it's been,
Lately, yes.
Lately, all the
Because
time.
these, for some reason, used to be our favorite and kind of stick and quit working for us.
I mean, we would be down on the floor, we've been trying to teach this patient how to do everything, and then we've ended up got tweezers down there going, oh, this is gonna be easy at home. This is gonna be, cinch, and I'm like doing
Started
surgery,
sticking
yeah.
for some reason.
So
Yeah.
whenever these patients come in the hospital, do we need to keep all the tubing sets? Or the patient's gonna have enough?
We tell them to bring supplies in. Now, whether they listen to us or not, sometimes they don't
Right.
have it. Or
Most
they're
of the
here
time, most of
longer.
the time they do. And
Yeah.
I'll tell you, first of all, when it comes to these sites, the first 3 to 7 days is often pretty uncomfortable, downright terrible for them, which is why we don't change them out. So if they can get it to last 3 months, I mean, that's probably 10% of our patients. The other 90% is somewhere in between 2 weeks and 6 weeks. I mean, it's just the reality of the situation. But the now I forgot where I was going with this. What were we?
Well, he was asking about supplies. If they don't bring it in, always feel, we're not
Right.
too far away.
So the
that we
supply,
could maybe-
the supply issue is usually, historically, if there's been anything, it's been about the drug. We don't have that problem because we have the drug, right? And they should not be using their drug. I've never had an insurance company that I know of, at least, bark that the patient used their own supplies while in the hospital. We've had a lot of problems historically with using their drug in the hospital, but we don't do that anymore. Well, we never really did, but so we're supplying the drug. I think that we ideally need to have a few sets of tubing on us.
We do.
Right. In case they don't have it, forget it, whatever. It would probably be good for us also to have maybe one quick set apparatus so that they can reestablish a site. Okay. That being said, the alternative to that, just like we did with this lady, is I'm just going to put them on IV. If we run into any trouble at all, I'm just going to transition them to IV. And it's a little bit of a pain if they don't have the right access, whatever, but we can always do that in a pinch to make up for, up to a 24-hour period, basically, where we're just pinch hitting with doing IV until we can solve whatever problem they have with their sub-Q. So,
But I would say,
and I say that in the background of how much should we have, I don't think, I think if we had something to grab in an emergency, that would be great. But do we need to have 3 of each? No.
yeah, and like that,
Because they're usually pretty good about
right.
it.
It's like every cassette that you would send up for a patient to whatever, it shouldn't automatically need a line with it. You know what I mean? It shouldn't have to come as a set, because either, like you said, they have it, or if it's a special circumstance, the nurse can request it. Would be.
John, do you have extra sets of
Oh, yeah.
tubing if we need to?
Tons.
I think this might be, we've talked about this a lot with what happened with this patient, and just some us trying to be good stewards of medicine and everything else, but unless you guys tell me I can't do this, and you have the power to do that, to avoid any sort of miscommunication or uncertainty around when the patient, I'm talking about when they come in on an admission, with the exception of maybe someone coming in like late morning, right? 1 o'clock the first day that they're here, we're gonna put them on our drug. I don't care if they just changed their cassette 12 hours earlier, and the reason it has just led to too many issues, and is it a waste of sometimes up to a couple days of medicine? Yes, but in exchange for that, we have absolute certainty that you guys and us are on the same page. So this is, sorry, a little bit unrelated to your thing, but is there,
I
you
like
have
the 1 o'clock time.
any
I think
problem with
sets
that?
it- No.
I like it too, because I don't want the 2 a.m. phone call
No.
of my drug campaign.
Well, and I've tried to be like, oh, how much do you have left? And they're like, well, I could. And then you learn things that you don't really want to know, that everybody waits till their alarm goes off, till they change their drug out, and not everybody's like that, but we have some yeehaws who.
Yeah, so like
operate
the
that
first
way.
patient, the nurse that was upstairs called as I was driving in to say, hey, they're out. When I got up to the room, the patient said, no, I have 5 hours. And so
Yeah.
there was some miscommunication
So-
to what actually.
Were they on this one?
Mhm.
And it said they had 5 hours?
But the nurse upstairs didn't know anything about this
Oh.
and just thought that they were out.
Oh.
Well, she's one of those yeehaws, right? Like, she doesn't have, she flies by the seat of her pants, and
Yeah.
she's been on it for 8 years, 7 years, and she's fine. But,
Yeah.
I think my biggest thing when I admit somebody, all I ask them is, how much do you have left? And it's very simple. Can we make it to 1 o'clock safely or not? And if we
Which
can't,
this is definitely
then-
more helpful than any of the other pumps
For
we've
the
had
patient?
before, because it truly says
yes.
you've got 13 hours left or whatever.
Whereas
they didn't prime all their med out when they were making
When they were
it.
crunching.
Yeah.
It does not give you a volume. That's the worst thing. It does not measure
Yeah.
the volume, which has
Okay.
always been a big kicker
Yeah,
for
because the
me.
mini CAD would do that.
But you can
and-
go in that, you can go in and get that information in here, in the menu.
Oh, you can, your
Mhm.
volume?
Yeah, there's a,
It counts it?
because it tells you how much to put in on the, if it's a
Right,
new.
but if you prime some and lose some,
Yeah,
it
well,
won't
it's-
calculate how
it's-
much you've
right.
lost.
It won't do that, for sure. That's what I was telling you in the room, that's the, I think, the biggest flaw with this new
Is
setup.
we need to know the exact volume and there's,
Right. Because if they flush out half their
Right.
crap, you would not know
You
that.
would not know that,
exactly.
so,
So it could run out early.
yeah.
And it will alarm, even if it tells you 70-something hours, but they've wasted some of their meds, it's gonna alarm depleted.
Mm-hmm.
So, that's the big thing I don't like, is the volume count. A precise volume.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and the fact that it's largely completely unnecessary to change the pump, because the other one has been working just fine for 20 years.
That's
But
my
yeah,
other frustration.
right, yeah.
That's my, and all these parts, the
I
other one
know,
was like one
yeah.
little pump and one little battery, and
Yeah.
now we got chargers, batteries,
Cords,
remotes.
yeah.
It's a lot
So are
going
they gonna
on.
be, if they're stable on the CAD, I know it just, one of them got recalled, but are they're stable on it, or everybody switching over to
Yeah,
Remunity?
they're all going away, because they're not, it reeks of, some backdoor agreements, just
People putting in
because.
swimming pools?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Probably hard to prove, but yes. So what we are doing is anytime we see a patient who's on the mini CAD that we're seeing in clinic, we're just saying, in an effort to not have 25 people transition all at the same time.
Thank you.
They would be working, 9 days a week. So we're just doing it as people come in.
Okay,
So
if they're already stable on the CAD mini, are you bringing them inpatient to transition
No.
them, or, okay, you're
no,
doing.
we're
So
not.
only new patients with.
Only new patients, yeah. No, we're not bringing those people in. And so, I think probably by the middle of this year, everybody will be,
Okay.
we have a couple people who may die soon, and, like a couple of those exceptions that we're not gonna put them through the trauma of trying to switch,
Switching.
so.
Okay.
But for the majority of our patients who are, longstanding, probably by sometime between April and June, my guess is that everybody will be, or just about everybody will be switched over.
So the other question.
Because they're not making replacement parts, and that's the thing, we don't have a choice, really.
Right.
It's not, it becomes unsafe because,
There's nothing out there.
yeah, there's nothing out there to
Service.
support it.
So the other question is, whenever we call a Credo to validate that they're on this Remunity pump, and then do we have the records readily available to say what kind of tubing, size, and all that stuff, just so we can
Yes.
have that documentation? Okay.
That's not on the dosing sheet though, is it?
No,
No.
If it's there, it's concealed.
no, it's not.
But we
I
might-
just have to open up the patient's prescription, look at the inside of the screen and see what they've sent for that patient.
But
And hopefully it's not one they sent everything and they had to pick what they wanted to use.
Yeah.
But from our standpoint, it'd be nice, just in case we need to provide it, we can put it into Epic. It says
Mhm.
they're on the CAD, whatever.
Right.
Yeah, that's,
Tubing.
yeah.
That kind of thing, so
would
that
be
way,
helpful.
if for some reason they say, hey, I need new tubing, we're not
You
having
know
to
what tubing,
start asking
or
all the
what
questions.
system they're
Right.
using. Yeah, that's true.
I just wonder is that something that we could do on it? That
Yeah,
when
and I'll
we-
look back through the orders that we get, that we sign off on everything, there might be where it specifically says what tubing and things they're on.
I'm just wondering if there's a way for us to maybe insert that into Epic,
That'd be nice.
like when they get started and stuff.
Well, if you're scanning a sheet in, into media, then maybe,
Yeah,
And
like
write
I
it
said,
on
those
the sheet.
details, yeah, I was like, those details aren't usually there. I'll go scan and make sure when those actual Accredo nursing orders come in, maybe it lies in there and then we can place it somewhere more visible.
Especially on new starts or patients that transition to different tubings and things like that, we won't know.
If you have those new starts and they're giving them, every
right?
sort of tubing,
Mm-hmm.
and it might take a couple of days before they make a decision. It'd be nice for them, because we may not see that in the intake.
We typically just
I
kind
don't
of tell
even-
them what we
I don't give
prefer.
them a
We're like
choice.
team quick set.
Uh-huh.
Like, this is the best
Yeah.
one, let's use this one.
Yeah.
But there's still multiple sizes of quick set.
Well, there's
Yes.
another pharmacy too that doesn't do the
Right.
same thing, so.
Which, I mean, I guess if they were a new,
We have 2 sizes.
because obviously before they leave, they're on one.
Yeah.
They're, so, you know, they've picked by
Mhm.
that point.
Right.
Our
So-
first patient was on a quick set, but she was on the 6 mm. She was on the pediatric one,
Mm-hmm.
and, you know, I brought up the 9,
Mm.
thinking that's what it was,
Yeah.
and then they said, oh no, she's on the 6. I was like, she's not you know.
So was
But
she
that's
little? Was
okay.
she
She
really
was
skinny?
kinda- she was kind of
Couldn't
petite,
she?
but,
Okay.
I mean, she
It's no
was
big
probably,
deal.
I wouldn't say like
Oh,
a-
yeah.
she'd still be an adult size.
Right,
You
so
don't
she
know.
could have
She's
still
a
had the,
CVS,
yeah.
That was just what she,
And it's
Got
okay
started
to,
with or whatever.
that's what she had, so.
Interesting.
yeah, you can always use a little bit longer needle, it's no big
Yeah.
deal.
It'd just be
Probably
nice
better.
to make sure that we are
Uh-huh.
giving the appropriate one
Yeah.
if we ever
But
had
the
to.
catheter's longer too, right?
Right,
It's not just the needles.
Right.
right,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Grant, we can always use those type of things in a pinch and stuff.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Something that they can change out when they get home if they fail to
Right.
bring their stuff.
Right.
Mhm.
We still have
That's
something that's
true.
useful.
And we'll keep multiple on hand.
Oh, sure.
You know.
We just didn't have the 6 at the time. We only had the 9s. We were just scrounging to try
We
to.
were
So
flying
it
by the
looks like
Yeah.
you walk in there with a needle this long in her
Yeah.
eyes, right?
Fortunately, she was very patient and very understanding.
Caught her on a good day.
Yeah. She's